So we will be dealing with this topic today. So one is parliamentary reporting, which is important, and also about you see the safety issues, which are important for journalists, especially political journalists who will be reporting the protest, will be reporting uh, any issues of conflict as well as rally and cover a political event, which will also be discussed in the second phase. And third, we will be extending our discussion to more about Indian Parliament because for assembly reporting, legislative assembly reporting, or Indian parliamentary reporting, it is very important for you to understand about the parliament. Okay, to simply know about the parliament, it is a talking shop. We know that in a very basic understanding, in a very basic way. If we have to understand the parliament, it is a talking shop, right? So it is also a deliberative forum. So it is a forum which will also help in national integration forum, which will also help in resolution of different conflict among different groups, among uh, the among even different ethnicities. So we can actually talk about a forum, so which can deliberate upon different issues which are of public concern, which are of also emerging nature. So if we look into the power and privileges of parliament, we all know the kinds of functions that a parliament are carrying out. So we have legislative functions, that is the sole function and the first primary functions that parliament is being carried out, because it is more about legitimacy of the claim. So when we talk about the forum, deliberative forum like parliament, it is about the legitimacy of different issues which are being highlighted in the parliament. So all the issues are got legitimated. Issue, issues, issues of national importance usually gets legitimized in the forum of parliament. That's how we can understand the legitimate nature or the legal nature of the parliament. So it is a talking shop basically. So it involves lot of deliberation, lot of discussions, and it's a forum because we also say it represents people as well as represent the state. So we have two houses in the parliament, Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha. And when we say Rajya Sabha basically represent the states, right? And Lok Sabha represent the people. So there are also separate provision of election, separate terms of the member who are being elected. There are separate provision of election of the members, right? We have the first past the post. That is the way the Lok Sabha members are being represented, FD PT, first past the post way. And also there is a way by which we call it the proportional representation. Hmm. Uh, and the single transferable vote, that is also a medium through which we see the member of Rajya Sabha are being represented. So that actually we talk about the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha champions the issues of the state, while Lok Sabha will champion the issues of the people. We call it people's representations. We get to find in Lok Sabha, but in Rajya Sabha we will find the representation of the state, because it will also deal with the it usually deals with the issues of the state. And when you talk about the single transferable vote and proportional representation by which MPs are being elected, you also need to know that it is about 1, 2, 3, like the first preference, second preference, and third preference are being given. So based on the highest preference, one party from one constituency will be selected, and voting is done by MLAs only. Right. So MLA will vote, and on the basis of the preferences of the voting, vote got by the MLAs of one person is usually elected to become the MP. Right. And when we talk about the Lok Sabha, we have the FTPT, that is the first past the post system, and it is a very simple way. So one member acquired the highest percentage of the vote can be represented in the Lok Sabha. So that's how we understand in a very simple way. And we also talk about the terms of the members which are being elected. When we talk about the terms, we have also 6 years of terms, and which not be dissolvable for Lok Sabha. And when we talk about the terms for Rajya Sabha, it is usually dissolvable because that candidate will be dissolved within 5 years, and term is basically the 5 years. So that's how we understand. So we also have 543 seats in the Lok Sabha, right? And in Rajya Sabha, how many seats? You know, how many seats are there in Rajya Sabha? 245. Yeah, 245. 12 are being nominated by President, right? And remaining 238 are being represented by the state. So you should actually know these are the very basic information that each and everyone should have. The fundamental information that you should have before you go for parliamentary reporting. And it is nowadays easy to report about the parliament. You also get to find that there are YouTubes and different videos which are displaying the whole legislative proceedings. And so it is in front of us nowadays. The whole process is in front of us, so we can also determine our opinion in a very thoughtful way what is going on in the parliament, right? And also it gives us a lot of scope for analysis of the debate and the discussion which are being going on in the parliament. So when we talk of the functions of both the houses, it's important. So we also have a speaker, and prior to discussing about the functions, it is important to understand the role of the speaker. You all know who will be responsible for maintaining the decorum of the parliament, and he is the one who will also decide and admit the resolutions from the houses, any kind of resolutions, which is basically be taken by Rajya Sabha as well as by Lok Sabha. He will also allot the time to each member for his speech, right? He will also decide whether a bill is money bill or not. So different bills are being deliberated in Parliament. So the Speaker is the one who will decide whether the bill is money bill or a general bill. And also he is the one, he will provide a kind of immunity to all the members of the parliament during his presiding time. So he actually presides over the meetings of the parliament and the session. So he is the main presiding officer of all the sessions. Right, and hence he will also provide some of the immunities as a speaker. He is the all in all in the parliament, and he will also provide that immunities to all the members which are present there in the Lok Sabha. And Lok Sabha basically, when we talk about the speaker, we also have like Rajya Sabha, we have a chairman which is also be appointed vice president, happen to be the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, like that way. So we will also decide whether there will be a safer space for those who are representing the people or not. When you talk about a safer space, we can also see that no civil and communal action could be taken against any members of the parliament who are representing us during the 40 days, or 40 days after and 40 days before the parliamentary session. So, and he will make a guarantee or assure that no member will be arrested, or also provide all kind of privileges, whatever he is supposed to get within the four walls of the parliament. So, like that way, we can also see the role of the speaker, which is also very distinct. He also tried to find out the expunged word which are not supposed to be recorded. He will say whether this word which are being uttered is expunged or not. Sometimes at fury, somebody can also take some words, so he will record it. He will also tell the media not to record those expunged words. So he has the ultimate say whatever is being proceedings in the house. So any kind of proceedings, any kind of deliberation, whatever will uh, happen inside the four door, inside the four walls of the Lok Sabha, so Speaker has the ultimate say. We will say he will also decide where to put up an adjourn motion, because he will admit the adjourn motion. So there is also a motion called adjourn motion. There are also calling to attention motion. Okay, there are also censure motion. So he will give admission to all kind of motions. When there is a money bill, when to introduce the money bill, we call about leave of introduction of the money bill. So he will also admit to all the motions in the house. So you actually see that there is a decorum of presenting all the bill. Okay, and speaker will give permission in a way. And you see that you will give permissions because he will admit the motion. You will also admit the resolution. So it is important to understand. We also see that when you talk about the functions, functions are not that different if we compare Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, except the money bill. Money bill is one bill which can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. It cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. So when we talk about the money bill, it's all about our budget, the speech related to budget, which happens to be a very exciting day for us whenever a budgetary speech is being made, right? Not only for general population of India, but also for business authorities, apart from those government and other department under other undertakings. So whenever a money bill is presented, so we are supposed to, we see that leave to introduce motion is being presented, and that is to be admitted by the speaker. So it is all about a statement of revenue and expenditure for a financial year. That's what we understand whenever we talk about presentation of the budget. What is the budget? It is a statement of expenditure and revenue for one financial year. So which are being calculated. There are also various heads, subheads which are detailed and explained separately, and which is to be presented in the Lok Sabha. And there is also a process regarding the presentation of, you say, bill, you say. Apart from money bill, the way we talk about formulation of the bill, formulation of the policy, it is very important to understand how bills are being formulated, because it is not being formulated in one single day. It is usually formulated. It takes months to be formulated, 1-2 months, more than that, minimum 1-2 months it will take, and even year, 2 years, sometimes it also takes time. So first, when you talk about any kind of bill, apart from money bill, even with the money bill has a different aura altogether. So when you talk about any kind of bill which is to be presented, so it actually addresses the concern of the ministry. Bill related to child welfare, bill related to women's welfare, any kind of bill. You also see related to sports governance. Okay, so it will actually deal with the concern of that particular ministry. Okay, particular ministry deal with the concerns. It will deal with the addresses of that particular ministry. So ministry will actually draft a proposal first. First and foremost, the ministry will actually draft a proposal, and then that ministry will also discuss that proposal with Ministry of Law. So here we need to know the intervention of Ministry of Law to any kind of bill which is to be presented to the Lok Sabha. So prior to drafting a bill, we think about only a proposal which is made by the ministry. Then they also consult with the Ministry of Law. Ministry of Law will also define the statement of purpose and statement of region, which they will define. Okay, then it will become a bill which is ready for present. There are also different stages. Okay, so when we talk about the reading of the bill, first it is to be introduced. Money bill is also to be introduced. Any other bill is also to be introduced. So there is also a leave to introduce motion to any kind of bill, be it money bill, be it general bill. Okay, so that is to be taken in the four walls of the parliament. General bill can also be introduced in, you see, Rajya Sabha, but when you talk about the money bill, So it is primarily to be introduced in Lok Sabha. So that is the distinctions. And in terms of the uh, say, you also see the privileges, or you see the ultimatum on the money bill. You won't get to find the role of Rajya Sabha much. As money bill is introduced, then it will be sent to Rajya Sabha. Once it has got assent from all the members. Even if there are some disagreements, it will also send to Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha, within a certain period, they can make some recommendation, but not necessarily that will be supposed to be obliged by the Lok Sabha. And it will also then go to President, and President can also give some recommendation, but Lok Sabha is also not liable to oblige that recommendation. Okay, so whatever recommendation is being made by the Rajya Sabha as well as the President can be accommodated in the money bill, okay, and cannot be accommodated if Lok Sabha see that these are not of similar nature, like they don't want to incorporate or so. Okay, so in money bill we see that there are some votable. You see, votable expenditure. We call it votable expenditure, which also needs to get vote from the members. So votable expenditures are there, and there are some expenditures which are also charged on consolidated fund of India. So there are two kind of expenditure. One is votable expenditure, for which we have demand for vote. Okay. So when we say demand for vote, that is basically put. That demand is basically put to the member, demand for vote, and when the votable expenditure is put to, then there is also a discussion. So it might also take time to actually get the final say from the different members. And for that, there is also a provision that we have account for vote. For the time, we need to also draw the money from the consolidated fund. So there is also a provision account for vote. So for which there is an appropriation bill and also finance bill. Appropriation bill followed by a finance bill which is to be presented. Okay, so in appropriation bill we actually see all the votable expenditure are being mentioned, so which is being passed, and that will actually give approval to executive to draw the money from the consolidated fund. Okay, so and that discussion may also continue. So we also have a finance bill that will deal with the overall, the transactions, the expenditure and revenue and tax to be collected, etc. Okay, which is also being passed after the appropriation bill is being passed. So prior to appropriation bill, when we talk about the demand for vote is being put. When demand for vote is being put, there is also an instance you need to know. This is called the cut motion. You heard about the cut motion? There's a cut motion. It is all about reducing the demand of any issues, any policies by a token cut, a policy cut, or by 1 rupees, like that way. Okay, they will reduce the demand for any issues. So issues are being discussed related to expenditure. So they will reduce the demand of any issues by 100 if it is a token cut. Okay, if there are certain grievances, they will reduce the demand. So that is being discussed once the budget is being presented. So before the presentation of the budget, strict, secrecy is maintained unless and until the private finance minister will present the budget before the parliament. And then once it is presented, it will also go through first reading, second reading, and the third reading. Okay, so there are also reading, and then there is also a demand for vote. And prior to demand for vote, we also see there might be cut motion. There will be cut motion. Cut motion will reduce the demand by 1 or maybe by 100. Okay, the demand for that particular policy. So they can also bring in different kind of grievances. So these are some of the procedural difficulties or formalities which will uh, be fallen within the premise of Lok Sabha. And you need to understand these very procedural formalities in order to carry out parliamentary reporting. And why it is important nowadays, you also see that we do have a press gallery. Right, in the parliament, press gallery usually sits near the precinct of the speaker, and they do have a vantage point from where they could observe what is happening in the session. We also have a Sansad TV nowadays, that is a merge of Rajya Sabha and local TV, right? So it actually see that they provide the full coverage of the session. So when we say how they provide the full coverage, there are also certain decorum they need to follow. They need to have a pass with them, right? And who will determine who will get the pass? This is also determined by committee. So there is a committee. This is called the Press Authority, Press Advisory Committee, which is being also it's an ad hoc committee. This is being also recruited. Um, by the speaker, appointed by the speaker. They will also distribute the passes to the veteran, basically the veteran member of the press and different news houses. And there are also some lobby passes. Lobby pass will also give you special privilege to the journalist to understand the context of any issues which are usually dealt in that legislative forum very briefly. So, if you talk about any issues which are being dealt in the legislative forum, not that each and every issue will get equal amount of time. Many a time context also cannot be placed properly. And hence, so when you get the lobby passes, you will understand the main context of the issues, because you can have more interaction with the lobbies and understand the context. So, because you also see that it's important to understand each and every nitty-gritties. And there is also live coverage nowadays, but when you are a member of Press Gallery, it is more about going for in-depth analytical reporting and interpretative reporting of the issues which are being discussed, rather than carrying out a live coverage. Anyway, there will be live coverage of the whole parliamentary session. So we actually see that when you talk about the bills which are being brought in, right, money bill, general bill which are being brought in, so there might be also disagreement. We say that in case of money bill, Lok Sabha's consent will always rule. In case of the general bill, we also see if there is a disagreement between both houses, then there is a provision of joint sitting, right? Speaker can also call for joint sitting of both the houses. And in the joint sitting, as Lok Sabha has a numerical superiority, the decision of the Lok Sabha will always prevail upon. We can also see joint sitting during the Dowry Prohibition Bill in 1961. Then there is a Banking Service Commission's Bill in 1977. There is a joint sitting. Again, we also see the decision of the Lok Sabha has only prevailed, but they are also incorporating the the suggestions and the recommendations which are also made by the Rajya Sabha. And sometimes Rajya Sabha has also delayed. It is also called the delayed chamber, just because it usually delay a decision on any bill, and that's why it is also called the delayed chamber. Okay, and there is also a deadlock at times between both the houses, just because they could not come into an agreement regarding any kind of decision to be made. They could not come into a resolution. And whenever there is a deadlock, then also you get to say delay. And hence you see that Rajya Sabha is really called a delayed chamber. But again, it is also important just because it represents some of the issues which are considered to be prime importance, right? Then you talk, then you say the executive power, which is also there in of Lok Sabha. When you talk about the executive power, it's a kind of executive power. It's not like that they'll execute. They'll have a control over the executive. So we'll have the cabinet and executive. That cabinet and executive they are responsible and answerable to their act and the activities and the kind of undertakings they have been carried forward, the kind of assurance that they have given to the Lok Sabha. And there are also different committees which will look after the assurance of the members of the parliament, MLAs, and also the kind of undertaking they have taken, and the policies they have brought in, and how they have implemented those policies. And you see that each and every member is supposed to be answerable to the forum, to the table of the Lok Sabha, and hence you see there is a control of Lok Sabha over the members, executive members. And that's how we can actually see the executive power. There is also judiciary power in terms of increasing the number of judges. Okay, there is a judiciary power. You can also, you see, the extend the power of High Court by combining 2-3 constituencies. That's what Lok Sabha can decide. Okay, so money bill, in terms of money bill, Lok Sabha has the supreme power. Like that way, we can actually see the division of powers Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can have. And Rajya Sabha has some special power in terms of extending the rule of Lok Sabha to the state list. In terms of legislative power, basically we see that there are lists, there are certain items in the list on which Lok Sabha can bring in legislation. There are union list, state list, and concurrent list. All the matters and subject matters related to union list come under the purview of the Lok Sabha, and all the matters related to concurrent list are also come under the purview of both Lok Sabha and the state, state legislative assembly. But any kind of discrepancies happen, then the rule of Lok Sabha will prevail. And we also have a state list. So you see, the special power of Lok Sabha is that not Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha is that Rajya Sabha can also declare the rule of Lok Sabha, which can be extended to any kind of state list item. Okay, so that can be given by the Rajya Sabha only. Okay, Rajya Sabha can have the special power to declare any kind of state list item to be brought under the purview of Lok Sabha. Basically, state assembly can have a decision on the state list item, but Rajya Sabha has the special privilege to be conferred to the Lok Sabha. And in terms of the All India services, we have All India the forest services, agricultural services, All India medical and health services, then All India services for engineering are some of the services which are being created by Rajya Sabha. And in terms of All India services, Rajya Sabha has the sole responsibility or even the special power to announce and decree its rule. Okay, so like that way, we also have the selection of president for which both the house have equal powers. The powers are usually at par with each other, and also in terms of impeachment, so which is not normal to India. So both the house have equal say, and also regarding the declaration of emergency, Rajya Sabha has an equal say along with the Lok Sabha. So like that way, if we discuss the power, so you should know actually the kind of power both the houses have. So hence I am giving you a very brief overview of the kind of power that both the houses are enjoying. And then what is important is to understand how the role of legislative reporting. What to report, that is also important. You also need to know the committees, okay? Prior to the importance of legislative reporting or the role of legislative reporting, it is important to understand the committees and some of the concept that you need to know. You have heard about questionnaire, right? Questionnaire is important. 0 hour. Have you heard of the 0 hour? Adjournment motion. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of calling to attention motion? So these are very important way to make a an MLA, minister, answerable to the public, you know. So we have a question hour, which is a very important hour. This will also make the government answerable, the cabinet answerable to you, answerable to people, right? So when we have a questionnaire, we also have seen that we have start question, unstart question, and we have short notice question. So start questions are those questions which are to be answered, like at the floor and orally. And unstarred questions are those questions for which the answer could be written and could be laid on the table. And we also have some sort of these questions which can come in any matters of like in a public importance or emergency matters. Some sort of this question can also arise, which is also answerable to the floor by the members. So like that way, question hour has a prominence. After the question at 12 noon, there is 0 hour. 0 hour session. In 0 hour session, you can also bring in, the opposition can bring in the issues related to public importance. So in all this motion, 0 hour, actually there is no particular motion, or you see that vote is required from the members of the house. For adjournment motion, vote from the members of the house is required for adjournment motion. For censure motion is all about no confidence vote. If the house will show no confidence, then definitely it will be censured. It cannot even rule. So it has to cease. It has to be ceased to exist, right? So there will also be censure motion. It is related to no confidence motion, and that can also be bringing from questions in emergency matter or anything related to it. But for that also, you see that for censure motion or no confidence motion, you need to get a vote from the majority of the house. The vote has to be registered, and it has to be admitted by the speaker. So speaker's admission for the submission of censure motion is required. Speaker's admissions, or speaker is supposed to admit an approval for the submission of the adjournment motion is also required. Adjournment motion may be very embarrassing for a ruling party, because it will actually keep the proceeding of the house in halt. So when we talk about the proceeding of the house, so it is also a very tricky affairs. There are different committees working together. We also have ad hoc committees. We have, you see, the standing committees, the joint committees and select committees are also there. So these committees will deal with different activities, and most of the committees are formed of 15 members from the Lok Sabha and 7 members from Rajya Sabha. And some committees are of 15 members, or some committees are of 22 members. So the members and composition and character will vary depending on the nature of the committee. Okay, so character and composition of the committees which are working along with the parliamentary proceeding will depend upon the you see nature of the issues they are dealing with. So we also have, suppose we have a committee on government assurance. That is a there are many numerous committees are there. There is a committee on government assurance. There is a committee on subordinate legislation. There is a committee on the paper laid on the table. There is also a committee on the welfare of ST and SC. And there is also a committee regarding the public undertaking, committee on public undertaking. There is a committee on estimates. There is a committee on, you see, public account. Okay, and then also there is a rule committee. Okay, there is a business advisory committee. So there are many committees which are there. There are some committees which are ad hoc committees. Ad hoc committees are ad hoc because they are meant to perform certain function for a specific period of time once their function is over, they also cease to exist. And that's why they are called ad hoc committees. And we also have some of the committees, some of the committees which will exist. Those are standing committees. So the kind of committees I have mentioned are standing committees. Okay, when we talk about the public account, um, that is a PAC committees are there, public account committees, that committee will deal with the scrutiny of the account of the public, various government account of the account and scrutinize, and the report of the auditor or the comptroller general which is being submitted, whether the expenditure is being spent um, correctly or not, if there is any financial irregularities or any kind of financial loss. So it will actually review and scrutiny all the matters related to public account. We have also estimate committee. This is basically an economic committee. This will deal with the policy aspect of any, any law. So policy aspect which is executed or in a halfway round or it is going on. So you'll actually see if there is a reform which is required and also how to make that law economical. So it is also being called as an economy committee. Then we also have a committee on government assurance when ministry and also you see that MLAs will give assurance that they will furnish the house with information in the next session, they will do this, they will do that, okay. They will also address the matter shortly, quickly. They have given an assurance which are also noted down, and in the next session they are also reviewed whether that assurance is being made or not. So this is a policy on government assurance. If government has given assurance, there is also committee to look after the assurance. And then we also have, you see, subordinate legislations. There are different legislations and there are subordinate legislations. Rule, bylaws are there. So there is also committee. These are conferred by the constitution and delegated to the parliament. These subordinate legislations are already there. It is conferred to us by constitution, and then parliamentary ministries as well as MLAs will be delegated some work to get the order, to provide the order. Okay, so there is a committee to look after the sub-laws and bylaws related to any legislations. Okay, and also we have a committee on petition. They'll scrutinize all the petition, all the grievances related to the petitions and also suggest remedies to the petitions. This petition actually comes from the population. So they scrutinize the petition related to one ministries. So petition filed against the ministries, the kind of grievances and the kind of remedial measures which could be provided. Okay. So you see that it is a deliberative forum, right? It's a deliberative forum, lot of deliberation and also procedural. This is called a procedural deliberation is happening. So when you talk about the committees, even for distribution of pass also we have a press advisory committee. So press advisory committee will be distributing passes to the journalists. So not all journalists will be privileged enough to get the pass. So select journalists, veteran journalists usually get the pass to sit in the press gallery, right? So like that way, so there are also committees in the Lok Sabha that will they will actually determine the proceedings of the house. Okay. Then we also see that regarding the salary, regarding housing accommodation, also there is committees. Regarding salary provision, housing accommodation. For library, there are committees to deal with the maintenance of the parliamentary library. Okay. Then we see the role of media. When you talk about the role of media in legislative assembly, role is different, and what you will do is also complying with that role. So when you say the role, we say there is a press gallery. Press gallery usually report each and every proceeding of the house. It report in the proceeding of the house. We also have a Sansar TV. Sansar TV will give a live coverage of the parliamentary proceeding. So what actually happens because of that? First, you see that it has provided the connection, that link between the public and the legislation. So it works as a connecting device. So when there is a disconnect, we feel disconnect because of the speeches. Many time we do not even understand. So the fine print and the fine copy of the speeches are made digestible to the general masses by the press gallery and even Sunset TV at times when they deal with the analytical part of the speech. So hence we can connect more to the speech nowadays. So that's how we can also see that it represent anyhow legislation represent a diversity. We actually see that 543 seats are there that represent different linguistic constituency, cultural constituency, religious constituencies. So it represents a diversity. But because of the procedural, that's what it's a difficulties. So at times we cannot connect to the legislative process. We cannot connect to what is being spoken, and the time, which is also very limited, right? So it is difficult to even get the context at times. What is being spoken? Why he is being spoken? Okay, and hence you see that this media, press gallery, as well as Sanchar TV, will help us to understand the context. That is also one thing. And second is also that there are certain rules, no? When a journalist once entering into the parliamentary session need to follow. Huh. First is that the silence is to be maintained. Second is the rule related not to participate. Is not to participate, is to observe. Okay, and also not to carry out any kind of personal devices within the premise of the parliament. That is also another rule which is to be followed by the journalist. Okay, then also we see that when we talk of uh, the the transition from the earlier parliamentary session to the live session, so we get to see a kind of transition. Right. Earlier sessions were a bit filtered down. Nowadays, sessions are not filtered down. And hence, that has also made the MLAs and MPs more conscious of what they speak. And it is also a kind of behavioral change which has brought to them a kind of imposition in terms of behavioral change. We have noticed. So it also makes them change their behavior. And they try to speak relevant nowadays. All of them, MPs and MLAs, nowadays try to speak relevant because they have been noticed by the general public when there is a live coverage. Nowadays, we are also talking about digital parliament, and Rajya Sabha is almost going to be like in a transitions and transform to a digital electronic forum. It is also in the discussion. People are thinking in terms of even attendance and all. Okay, but we see how far it could be implementable. So hence we also see that just because of the live coverage that they are getting, so we see a kind of behavioral change they're addressing, and whatever argument they are put backed up by data. Earlier, it is not backed up by data. So it will give us more analytical, in-depth understanding of any law, any legislation, any bill, any issues which are being discussed within the present of the parliament. Right. So initially we also say that it is difficult at times to understand any law because of the lack of data. Even those data which are being reported by the Sansar TV and also by press galleries can also provide ammunition, work as an ammunition for opposition party in case they have to oppose any law or any case, any issues. Okay, because they usually record the whole proceeding, right? So like that way, media has a very important role, and nowadays even people started understanding the why factor instead of what factor, not what is being spoken. Just because there is always an analytical and interpretative reporting happening after the proceeding being recorded. So why factor is always there. Why he has said, how he has said, is always a factor which is a matter of concern. When you say how he has said, that is a matter of concern for the politician nowadays, that the MLA and ministries, because he is more concerned about the camera, and he'll address the gallery, press gallery, rather than the speaker. He is supposed to address the speaker, but nowadays, just because of the performance issues, he'll address the press galleries rather than the speaker. That is also there. So it is more performance oriented nowadays instead of the issue based debate. That is also one thing. Uh, or analytical debate. Okay. Then we also understand, this is very briefly about Indian Parliament. There are more to learn about the Parliament. So what you need to know about some of the committees that you need to understand, the role of the committees, ad hoc committees, standing committees. Standing committees will stand alongside. And when you talk about the ad hoc committees will cease to exist one the performance of the function. So that's what you need to understand. Some of the committees and functions you need to understand, whatever I have discussed. Okay, some functions of the legislature you need to know. This is very important to become a reporter of Parliament and to report the assembly proceedings or parliamentary proceeding. You need to know about the Parliament, about the Speaker, about the role of the Parliament. So that's what briefly I have discussed. Okay, and then we talk about safety, because I need to go brief. I do not have much time also because the exam is also nearby. So safety issues for political journalists, because political journalists, the hardcore journalists, right? Because they usually go beyond their safety zones. We call it a protest journalist. We reporting a protest. We call it reporting a protest, reporting a political event and a rally, and also reporting a conflict. Right? Will be considered as a political journalist ultimately. So role will be vary. So it is not related to, you see, the journalist, political journalist, the role of the political journalist will not be related to only reporting the parliamentary proceeding. So a political journalist can also report a protest. So while you go and covering a protest, you know the kind of safety guidelines that you need to take into account. So I will also reiterate those guidelines. I will try to repeat those guidelines again. So while you go for reporting a protest, while you go for reporting a political rally or political event, okay, and also you go to report any conflicting situations, any kind of violence occurred, any kind of rape issues occurred, and of political nature, something which is of political nature. So the kind of precautions that you need to take is very important. So on editorial front, one editor is supposed to take into account some of the matters like the experience of the journalist, which is also very important. How experienced is the journalist? So it's not like that fresher cannot be experienced. So he also, by virtue of being passion or interest in political reporting, so he or she himself be an experienced one. So experience is one matter which is to be taken into consideration by the editorial front, so by an editor. And we also see that many a time while sending a reporter, it is also very important that his or her ethnicity, religion, caste, gender should be an overall profile, should not be a matter of target by the community. So that is also another concern for the editor, that the profile of the journalist should not be a matter of target by the community for which he or she is reporting. Then another important issue is to understand whether there is a health insurance or medical insurance is there. Life is being insured, the journalist's life is being insured. There is a health insurance or medical insurance for that journalist or not. So this is very important, and hence the insurance of the journalist is must if they actually report any conflict. So his life is to be insured, medical and health facilities is to be provided at the same time, right? And then what is important is to understand the situation, overall situation by the editor. So, editor is the one who will send the journalist. So you need to understand, he or she need to understand the overall situation first. Then he will send the journalist, right? So where a transport will be available, there is escape route which is there. Escape route is very important to understand. So at any point of time, you need to escape from the situation, from that like location. So every time you will go and report a conflict, so you need to find out the escape route as a journalist. And also editor will also make sure whether there is an escape route available in terms of medical kits also, some medical emergency situation might come that kit is being provided to you, but whether uh, that hospitals or even pharmacy dispensaries are there at the nearest point where you will be reporting or not. So and also you will be also given and provided with emergency contacts, and also editor needs to take care of a journalist when he is being sent to an area which is volatile, which is conflict prone, or reporting uh, an issue uh, which may also lead to put his life at stake, right? Then we see from journalist point of view, when you actually cover a protest for a photojournalist, you might also come across this kind of issues, or you might have known but still you see that what is important is about what you wear, about your hair, right? This is very very important for you, what you wear, what you wear in terms of the shoes. It has to support your ankle, and very hard sole shoes are supposed to be wear. You are not supposed to wear loose clothes, right? And those clothes are not supposed to be of that media branded. So it's a media branding, media logos are not to be there in that particular clothes that you were wearing, and it should not also be of politically affiliated color. So it is also a matter of concern for you, and it should not be of nylon sort of, because that is a inflammable kind of cloth. Okay, so that is also part of concern for a journalist, what to wear in terms of a cloth when you report in a public rally, or you report a protest, or you went to a rural hinterland and a village to report any conflict, any crisis situation. Okay, and you will see that alcohol is very endemic. Okay, alcoholism, intoxication is very endemic. Then you also see that there is unpredictability of the behavior. And many a time when you are not vouched for uh, reporting, then you wait for someone who will invite you to report. So many a time out of passion also we go, but it's very important to have a balancing cord, because it's more about your safety. Okay, so many a time as a freshers, we might also feel passionate and you go and report, but without getting a vouch for reporting, getting an invitation from the rural community to reporting, or without getting a local facilitators in that community, it's very difficult also for you. It may turn to be very difficult for you to report on that particular incident. Okay, so it might also happen that you may not get adequate support. So consent of whom you are being reported, okay, is important. Who you are being interviewed, and also you need to align your belief system to them at times. That is also very very important when you report conflict. And also always try to find out an escape route, and also pre-agreed cut-off time. It's very very important to have a pre-agreed cut-off time for a journalist. Why? Because once you get the information, it's better. It is also advisable for you not to linger long in that situation. You got the information, now you go and escape, you run. So it's important. If you go and report um, any conflict or any issues of violence in a rural, like in a hinterland, so it's very very important. And try to find it is called a backup person with you, and backup person will be roaming in mall and all in this town area or nearby area. So whenever needed, he can come. So a backup person and a back watcher is also required when you report conflict. One is backup person, which will be apart from the camera person and all. Okay, so you will always work in team. There will be camera person, you will be a reporter, so we'll go and report. So there will be a backup person. Backup person may be available. Two backup person will be there, may be available in the nearby precinct of the villages, in the shopping mall and also whenever required they can come and help you out. And there is also a back watcher. If situation is too volatile, then there has to be a back watcher which will help you, support you. So it's very important for you to have a back watcher. And if you are accosted, then better to give the equipments and all. So you will definitely you will take care of equipments, and this is your responsibility to take care of equipment because your life is more important. It's more worthy than equipment, right? Hence, if you are accosted, then you give the information and equipment whatever they want. And it's important also to always make yourself connected to a conference mail rather than a personal mail. So if you report, always connect yourself to a conference mail so that whenever you report, no, so it can also go to and you mail it, whatever information you have got. So you have saved it, stored it, and also have a backup plan. So backup of that information in case you need to delete the information from the WhatsApp. So you also give a trail and keep a trail of that information in the mail box which is being already sent, like that way. So this is also advisable for a journalist reporting the conflict. Okay, and escape route is important. Medical kit is important. Always like have a medical kit and also know how to use it whenever required, and find the transportation route and escape route, which will be 2-3 escape routes should be available. If in case somebody sees you, chase you, then whatever, when they will chase you, what will you do? So you need to escape. No, you need to run. So you need to find escape route available for you. Okay. So in case of reporting any kind of conflict and violence, then also there are certain provisions reporting that you need to know. It is also kind of like measures and the steps you can say you need to know when reporting. Political rally and a protest. In protest, you see, in protest, photojournalist, the role of photojournalist is more keen, right, more acute. So it is also advisable not to wear the strip. So you might be advised not to wear the strip of the camera. Otherwise, you might also strangulate it whenever you actually go and report a protest. And don't yourself find in the middle of the protest. Don't suck yourself into get yourself stuck in the middle of the protest. So you need to find out the vantage point from where you can report. And if you want to report the aggression or aggressor, suppose okay you want to highlight, you want to have some photographs of the aggressors, you want to highlight the photograph of the aggressions, then you have to be very careful. First you need to talk eye to eye with the aggressions, and in case you report, then aggression escalated. That might also happen. You click a photograph, and after you clicking the photograph, aggression escalated. Okay, so you need to keep your head safe and all. So it is also advisable for a journalist and a photojournalist wear a hooded and also then bump cap always when they go for reporting a protest and a public rally, public event, and also maintain a distance of arm's length with the protesters, the actual protester and the aggressors. Okay, even if you find that okay, it is important for you to go and put yourself into middle of everything. Like you find yourself in the middle of the protest so that you can get a good photographs or you can get the exact context of the protest. Okay, so this is also a kind of safety rule for you. Okay. So here and all to be very tight, it should not be open, otherwise somebody can pull from the behind. So it's better to tie your hair and I call it durata, so we call it journal. It is appropriate for a journalist, and always wear a cap when you go for reporting protest for girls. It's very important. Then we also see for reporting public rally and an event, situation is the similar. What you need here is identity card is there. So you also need to have a pass for reporting a public rally and the event, and that might be from the commissioning agency or commissioning news channel, which will be provided, because that you need to show. Okay, so you can report from inside the rally, and sometimes the rally can also turn violent. So also be ready to get any kind of or face any kind of verbal abuse, and don't react. So it happens. So that journalists need to develop a very thick skin. So you might also need to face any kind of verbal abuse if the rally turn violent. So don't react. You simply cover that incident and then you escape. Okay, because your role is to get the story, get information, and then you are not supposed to stay there. You go and then run, because your the key role that you need to um, the primary consideration is your life, and that is very important. Okay, so this is briefly about the safety guidelines for reporting protest, rally, as well as a conflicting situation. And you see, you and reporting election, when we say same kind of guidelines you need to follow in terms of wearing clothes, in terms of back watcher, in terms of backup person, in terms of your shoes, in terms of your hair, in terms of the consent that you need to take. So what you what you report. So we also we talk about the quality and ethical part. You are not supposed to be biased and all. You are supposed to report non-partisan. That is also another part. Okay, and you need to know both sides of the angle, both sides of the story. That will also come. But these are some of the pragmatic and practical approach that journalists need to take into consideration. And we see that during CPG guideline came in 2021. One of my friend only made that guideline, CPG. We worked in that CPG news outlet. So he came up with the guidelines. So that was also translated in different language, in Assamese, in Bengali, in other languages. It is being translated in 2021, and that guideline is already that guideline is available. That booklet is available uh, on net. So you can go through that booklet and you can get yourself updated about the safety measures which journalists should take while reporting the political event, election, protest, rally, as well as the conflict. Okay, so this is very briefly about what you need to know about parliament reporting and conflict reporting.